Few of us really value our work or our employment. While the bulk of us find our jobs to be chaotic and stressful, there are those who believe their professions have brought them the boredom they never wanted in their lives. Nevertheless, some people look forward to meeting new consumers and coworkers. This Domino's pizza delivery lady had no idea what was in store when she developed a friendship with one of her frequent clients. She had been dropping off pizza at his doorway almost every weekend, but she wasn't prepared for what she saw inside his trailer. Her visits to his trailer had been occurring almost every Saturday. Every weekend, he would place an order for a specific pizza, and often stand outside his home while waiting for his cheesy crust pizza. He did the same thing on that day as well. But delivery woman Angela Nguyen had no idea what she would discover inside his trailer. Angela was aware that she needed to take action right away for this client. What did she find? Or was there an accident that required quick action? To fully grasp what transpired that day, let's go back to the beginning of this story. It was an average day for Minnesotan Angela Nguyen, who resides close to Ham Lake, a little city in the state. Since 2013, Angela has been employed by her local Domino's restaurant. She enjoyed the smiles on her customers' faces when she delivered their pizzas. Although this was not her first job, it was her most recent. She had previously been employed by Minnesota Visiting Nurses, but a personal tragedy forced her to find other work. When she discovered the unimaginable in that customer's trailer, this tragedy replayed in her mind. Angela lost her daughter while she was at work as a nurse for patients with HIV/AIDS at Minnesota Visiting Nurses. Her time with her child was taken from her by her job obligations. In the years since, she's prioritized spending time with her loved ones above everything else, and her pizza delivery gig has allowed her to do just that. Angela's recovery from the loss of her daughter was slow and painful. However, Angela finally found employment after a brief period of searching at this particular Domino's. Angela's oldest daughter, Sarah, cared for her other kids while she was at work, and Angela would watch Sarah's kids while she was working. Life was typical up until the moment a new customer entered her life. Angela's employment required her to constantly interact with new people. She would see a lot of different people every day, some from one place and others from another. But she never expected that she would have to become involved in the private lives of her customers. She had no idea that she would even feel obliged to interfere in the personal life of one of her customers. But who was this man? After starting the new job, Angela was attempting to establish a regular schedule. She, like many of her coworkers, often shared stories from her own life to her customers. They often giggled at the size of the tips people gave them, and sometimes were frustrated by the persistent penny pinching of a few of the more demanding customers. Angela then proceeded to share a story about a new customer's life. Angela mentioned a regular client whom she refers to as the Saturday guy. He was technically named Lee Haas, but Angela only knew him for his weekend orders. He was currently residing on the outskirts of Anoka County in Minnesota. Nothing had yet made anyone curious about this man, but there was something peculiar about him that had everyone wondering what his deal was. Angela said that the man called the restaurant every Saturday at exactly 10:15 a.m. when discussing him in an interview conducted later on. He was never even a second late. The fact that he was so reliable in his pizza ordering suggests that he was a big pizza fan who looked forward to his weekly order. Every time, this guy's pizza was delivered by Angela. Before she learned about this client's traumatic history, everything was going swimmingly. Lee was in his 70s when Angela started noticing his pizza orders. It was 2015 when a terrible accident befell him. The unfortunate old man's home was ripped apart by the raging storm. The storm was so powerful and enormous that it swept away everything in its path. Lee's home was among the several that sustained substantial damage. Even worse, his home was beyond repair. Instead, he had to uproot his life and go live somewhere else. And that wasn't the end of his misfortune. This old guy, unfortunately, had to endure many more challenges than the average person his age. Not only did his home burn down, but he also lost his kid in a tragic accident. His kid was riding a snowmobile when he lost control and was killed by an oncoming tree. The elderly guy has no heroes left to look up to. A deeper meaning on his circumstances was lost on him. Lee had to move into a new trailer when it appeared like the world was conspiring against him and life was about to get brutal. He relocated to a tiny, run-down trailer not far from his previous residence. Nonetheless, he never imagined that a pizza delivery girl would have such a significant effect on his life. Neither did Angela consider the possibility that seeing inside the elderly man's trailer might lead her to act the way she did. Obviously, at his advanced age, Lee was unemployed. As he entered his senior years, he decided to retire. Living in that trailer was becoming more difficult as the winter months approached. People believe he was living well on his fixed Social Security income, despite the fact that he had very little money. Others have even gone so far as to claim that the unfortunate individual only fed himself once a week. How did he manage to order pizzas while stuck in this never-ending cycle? It's a wonder how the poor guy managed to pay for that many pizzas. But since he ordered pizza, he met Angela, the delivery lady. If he hadn't ordered the pizzas, he never would have met her. And if he hadn't met her, his life would be unbearably terrible. It's terrifying, but the situation for this elderly guy was only getting worse. Another Saturday arrived, and at 10:15 a.m. sharp, Angela received Lee's order as usual. She drives to his house and discovers a surprise waiting for her there. Lee didn't wait for his pizza to be delivered to his trailer that day. To say the least, this was a peculiar sight. That guy who never missed a pizza delivery couldn't be found. Angela found this to be a really peculiar sight. A client of such impeccable timeliness would never be late for his meal. Angela tried to find the elderly guy by screaming out his name, Lee, but she was unable to locate him. Now she was really terrified. She rang the bell, but no one answered. That elderly guy, where did he go? Surely he was still okay, right? Angela's head was filled with strange ideas. The guy was extremely elderly, so Angela's fear was understandable. Whether or not the guy was okay, that was the question on her mind. She wondered if he had been in an accident, or if his state of mind was okay. Or maybe he's been unwell recently. And the question, is he even alive? Was one Angela would rather not have entertained. Angela stopped giving these unsuitable ideas any more attention. She hastily sets down the pizza box and opts to have a peek inside the elderly man's trailer. What Angela discovered inside was shocking to her. She had no idea the old guy was in for such a rough patch. And at that moment, she realized she had to take action right now. Angela looked around the interior of the home and found the elderly guy dozing off in a hidden nook. When she saw that he was safe, she let out a sigh of relief. More than the man's health, though, her concern was based on what she witnessed inside his home. Although the trailer appeared dated from the outside, Angela soon discovered that the inside was considerably worse. The ways people were able to make ends meet utterly confounded her. Lee had a rough upbringing to begin with, and his current situation wasn't helping matters any. No air could enter the caravan. None of the windows were opened, there was no hot water, and the vehicle lacked a functional plumbing system. Angela was afraid of how chilly it would become inside during the worst winters because of the environment's chilliness. As a mother herself, Angela naturally had a nurturing disposition. Her heart broke for the elderly guy when she saw the filthy surroundings he was forced to endure. A deep sadness overtook her for this elderly guy. There was a terrible stench throughout the home, since there was no ventilation and there was garbage everywhere. And at Lee's advanced age, it would be unreasonable to expect him to maintain a spotless home. Then Angela got a call that would alter the course of that man's life forever. She used to be a nurse, and the years of hard work she put into her career made her innately compassionate. Angela made up her mind to help this guy out. She hoped, if nothing else, to provide him a safe, warm place to sleep during the cold months. She went out and got him a space heater to help him out with the cold. Following that, she went on to do something even more remarkable. After taking a closer look, she recognized that the man's health was deteriorating due to his advanced age. There was no way for him to go pick himself some veggies and then prepare them. That's why pizza would be his preferred means of subsistence. Angela went above and above out of kindness for this guy. She began bringing him pizza, and then added fruit and vegetables. Sometimes she would even buy him donuts and a cup of coffee to show her appreciation. Angela's generosity and thoughtfulness did not end there. Instead, you will see that everything up until that point was only the start. She felt compelled to aid Lee. She claims that no man can live in such an environment when the only thing to keep him company besides the claustrophobia is the lack of fresh oxygen and hot water. Angela felt compelled to give Lee the finest of everything after seeing his wretched existence. She owed it to him at the very least to find him an acceptable place to stay. Angela, on her own, was unable to acquire the necessary funds to assist her client. Therefore, the thought of creating a GoFundMe page for Lee appealed to her. Many individuals from different parts of the globe offered assistance after seeing this website and decided to aid her and Lee. She might generate a significant sum to aid Lee within the next 2 months. Not only that, but others were eager to assist Lee in any way they could. All eyes seemed to be on Lee's page. At first, many members of the community gave generously. Many individuals contributed monetarily, but others sent gifts of food and clothing. Angela received unexpected calls from businesses offering their services to assist Lee. Domino's Pizza even gave a generous $2,000 donation. Angela's campaign on GoFundMe helped her raise almost $32,000. Angela made the most lovely gesture with such a massive sum in her hands. She splurged on a new home for Lee. A pizza girl just delivered wonderful help to this guy. But she wasn't the only one who pitched in. Others in her neighborhood also contributed to the house's furnishings. It would be impossible for Lee to express his gratitude to Angela adequately. Angela surprised Lee with a brand new home, and at first he couldn't believe it. In spite of all Angela had done for him, he was unable to repay her. Angela, with Sarah's assistance, decked up the new digs with tinsel, ornaments, and a Christmas tree in anticipation of the holiday season. Lee's happiness and passion had left him with nothing but tears. Lee was really blown away by Angela's generosity. He had never imagined that someone would do anything so nice for him without expecting anything in return. Finally, he responded, "It's fantastic," with the most sincere of intentions. Angela gave him a tour of the whole home, including his new quarters. Angela made sure Lee's new room was set up the same way as the one he had in the caravan. The new room was a bigger size than the previous one, and it provided a cozy, comfortable ambiance. On its walls were the phrases, "Joy, hope, love, peace, believe." The effect on Lee was profound. Angela has also stocked the kitchen with enough of food so that the elderly guy may stop worrying about it. Angela, Lee and the other volunteers who had worked on her house design joined in a party later that day. Karaoke was included, and they also performed Christmas tunes. According to Angela, everyone had a fantastic time that evening, and Lee enjoyed himself more than everybody else. Angela had more to say later that evening. In spite of the fact that everything was shaping up to have a nice conclusion, Angela still wanted to make it even better. Suddenly, she makes up her mind that she won't end her acts of kindness just here. She planned to continue with it, and the best way for her to achieve this was to assist the customers at Domino's who were in urgent need of her assistance. Doing good for others is certain to fill you with joy. Angela didn't only provide Lee a new place to live, she also offered him a fresh start. Lee had given up hope for the future because of his cramped and desolate home. This home was a breath of fresh air for him. On the other hand, it inspired him to keep his life in balance and keep moving. Angela no longer saw Lee as a frequent client. Formerly, he had been one. He had been living off of pizzas ever since he ran out of money and food to buy anything else. But with this fully equipped house with a stove, microwave, and refrigerator, he cooked his own meals. He had begun resuming his previous, more physically active lifestyle. Although Lee and Angela do not see one another very much anymore, their friendship was really boundless. They were so deeply respectful of one another that distance could never separate them. There's a lot of talk about being generous and showing compassion, but few people really have the guts to act on it. Angela has accomplished something very remarkable, something that only a really good person could do. Angela's duties as a pizza-delivering woman extended much beyond the delivery of pizzas. A simple, "The price is $17.95, sir," just wouldn't have cut it. Thanks to her work, she was able to interact with individuals from all walks of life. A lot of the families she met were joyful, but she also met those like Lee. Angela found out that Lee was living in a barely 12-foot area after their first conversation. Lee never reached out to anybody for assistance after going through a tough patch. He no longer had his son, who at the very least would have cared for him as old age approached. Instead of fighting against it, he cheerfully embraced the dilapidated trailer as his new home. While most people in Lee's position would have given up, he kept his optimism. Angela could hardly tell Lee from any other customer. That he was a customer meant that he was essentially a stranger to her. She deserves a lot of credit and recognition for her amazing work. Angela made the most of her opportunity to affect another person's life, which presents itself so seldom. Angela always meant what she said. She made sure Lee was comfortable and doing well before continuing her kindness. She then assists another female client. The mom reveals that her daughter suffered from Crohn's disease and required surgery. Furthermore, she launched a second effort to raise money for her operation. In the same way that this tale had a happy conclusion, we wish Angela the best of luck in her current endeavor to aid her other customer. We pray that the company will continue to attract selfless people like her who are motivated by altruism to do good for the greater good of all people.